I have to say that born as an Iranian, so I'm an Iranian American immigrant, and I think it's been wired into my DNA to worry. I think a lot of you culturally will also relate to that, that we are kind of taught from a really young age to just worry, right? It's just this generalized feeling of, and I really want to distinguish between, so there's two what I call cousins. There's worry and there's anxiety. So anxiety is this fear of like not really knowing what's going to happen. So I'm going to do a presentation. I have no idea how it's going to go. I haven't prepared, and so I'm really anxious about it. Worry is more this fear that something bad is going to happen. So it's about creating the story in our minds. And because the mind, when uncontrolled and when untamed, is kind of like a monkey. It jumps from branch to branch to branch to branch. It can go on, just giving you all these stories and all these ideas about what could go wrong and what's going to happen. And if you really listen to the mind and believe its stories, it really throws you off. It really creates kind of this frenetic frenzy inside of your body and mind. So anxiety is this fear of the unknown, whereas worry is this fear of, I think I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be the worst case scenario. And I think Brene Brown likens this to something she calls dress rehearsing tragedy. So it's this idea of when something as good is happening, no matter how good, you'll always start to worry and create this story about the worst thing that could possibly happen, because you don't deserve to be happy, right? So you should always be worrying about what's next. In Chinese medicine, worry is the imbalanced emotion that's associated with the spleen and stomach organ systems. And the spleen and stomach in Chinese medicine are primarily affiliated with your ability to digest and to process food, but also thought. Thought process is also associated with your digestive system. The spleen in Chinese medicine has the function to ascend or lift up energy. That's why if you have poor spleen function, you'll often get diarrhea or prolapse of any of your organs. The stomach's function is to descend energy. So the stomach helps you to excrete toxins through the bowels. So it sends energy down, whatever it doesn't want to use for nutrient absorption, out through the large intestine and the colon to excrete waste out of your body. So what we need in order to have clear digestion and therefore clear thought is to have harmony between the spleen and stomach. And so a harmonious spleen and stomach not only help us to digest our foods easily, but they also help us to have clarity of mind. Because these two, the gut and the brain, are very closely linked, and they're actually linked through the vagus nerve. It's like this information superhighway that what you eat affects your thinking, and what you think affects your digestion. So in today's class, the emphasis is going to be to harmonize the spleen and the stomach to strengthen these digestive organs. Now, obviously, you can't just do this through practice. Diet is a huge player, because diet, especially if you have a poor diet where you're eating a lot of refined foods, a lot of sugars, and that includes like fruit, sugar, and grains and things like that. I'm not saying not to eat those things, but just keep it in moderation. What this does is it creates a fungal terrain in the body, and this fungal terrain in Chinese medicine is called dampness. And dampness, when it accumulates in the physical body, congeals or congests the energy of your digestive system. So it disrupts the free flow, the transformation and transportation of food, and your ability to properly process things. And when your digestion is impeded, as I mentioned, your thought process also becomes impeded. So we want to clear all that, try to excrete dampness as much as we can out of the body. One of the ways that you can do that on a regular basis is to eat a lot of leafy green cooked vegetables, and also to avoid eating too many raw foods, because raw food is much more difficult for the body to digest, because you have to elevate your internal temperature to stoke that digestive process whenever you're eating something that's raw or cold. And so it taxes your digestive system more. And when the digestive system becomes more taxed, it's easier to accumulate dampness internally. So remember that anything you do with your food in terms of digestion also affects your mind, and that knowing this, you can make a lot of changes purely from your diet. But because we're not really working with diet in terms of practice, I'm going to give you some really simple tools that you could practice, or some really simple practices that you can do on your own at home in addition to dietary practices. Let that plane pass. In addition to diet changes that will help you to feel more clear in your digestion, which then means that your mind is more clear. And when your mind is more clear, you're more present. You're not going to worry as much. You're not going to go into that rotational thinking that just never stops, that loop thinking. Okay, so let's get started. Let's just get grounded first. So one of the things I was also going to share with you today is that when you feel like your mind is overactive, one of the easiest and fastest ways to start to slow that down is actually to start doing some earthing practices. So earthing is this idea of literally connecting to the earth. And one thing I didn't mention is that the spleen and stomach systems in Chinese medicine are connected to the earth energy. So of the 5 elements, earth is the element that those organ systems are associated with. So when you're doing earthing, what you're doing is you're actually strengthening those digestive organs. Earthing is basically the practice of finding some earth, so whether that's lawn or grass or dirt. So when you feel like you can't settle your mind, one of the quickest ways is literally to put your feet into the earth, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. Now, if you're inside your home right now, or if you're outside on concrete or a rug like I am, that's a little bit more difficult, but even doing what we're doing now is going to help ground you quite a bit. So I want you to spread your toes and stand with your feet about shoulder width apart, and turn your toes in slightly so that they're parallel. You're not going to be able to see my feet all that well because of the sun, but I'll try to give you verbal cues to help. So you're going to turn those toes in slightly, and I want you to lift all of the toes up. And then I want you to relax them all down, and I want you to put emphasis in the big toe of each foot, as well as the middle of the ball of your foot. So kind of this area at the, if you go between the second and third toes, right under this crevice is a point that's called kidney 1. It's the first point on the kidney meridian. So you want to press into that portion of your foot, press into your heel also to stay, of course, stabilized, but also put a lot of emphasis into the big toe. The big toe is the area, especially the medial side of that toe, is where the spleen meridian begins. So the spleen channel runs up the inner side of the leg, but the Jing Well point, or the activation point, the point through which energy comes into and out of that meridian, is right in the big toe. So as you're pushing into that big toe, what you're doing is you're activating your spleen energy. And remember, the natural function of the spleen is to ascend, or to lift energy. So as we push into that big toe, we're lifting the energy of the spleen. So you're going to just stand with the arms hollow and just feel that position, and just take 3 deep breaths. And it's really interesting when you understand the locations of these Jing Well points. So in another class we talked about the lungs, which is associated, the Jing Well point is in the thumb, right? When you know where these are, it really helps just to bring energy and awareness into those areas to activate those particular organ systems. Good. And we're going to start with a very simple exercise that just helps harmonize the spleen and stomach. All you're going to do is lift one arm up, and as you're lifting, I want you to imagine there's a string at the outside part of your arm at the wrist that's lifting your arm up. So it's really soft. Notice I'm just flopping here. I'm not lifting the hand. Just lifting the arm up as I inhale, and then the inner side of my wrist is going to bring the arm down as I exhale. Same thing on the other side. Inhale, lift, and exhale down. Now my knees are slightly bent, so there's a softness. Inhale, lift, and my tailbone is slightly tucked. So if you were to see me from the side, you'd notice that my lower back is quite flat. I'm not arching the back, I'm not sticking the ribs out. I'm pretty contained in the lower abdomen as well. And you really want to take long inhales and exhales. So it's a deep inhale as you lift and a full exhale as you release. We'll do that a few more rounds. Inhale, exhale. So anytime you're doing opposite movement with the hands, we say that you are separating the pure and the turbid. And that separation of the pure and turbid, that's a function of your small intestine, which is also part of your digestive function, right? Separating pure and turbid means you're holding on to the pure, that which you can use and absorb for nutrients, and you're releasing the turbid. You're letting go of the toxins or the waste products that you can excrete through your bowels. When the pure and turbid are separated properly, then you can also break up that damp pattern that fogs up the mind. Gives you that lack of focus, lack of attention, lack of clarity, inability to concentrate. Besides worry, those are also possibilities. And physically, it can cause weight gain, it can cause digestive issues. Let's do one more on each side. Good, and then let's bring the hands to the hips. And we're just going to start opening the neck. So now just warming up a little. And as we warm up, we'll do a little bit more with the spleen and stomach. But I want you to just kind of start to open your neck. So all of the major joints in the body have to be released for there to be a free flow of chi everywhere. And then you're going to go forward, back. Good, breathe. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect those 4 movements, the forward, back, side to side. Starting either direction, and notice how I'm lifting the shoulders, I move to that side. The rest of my body is totally stable. So keep everything but your neck and shoulders relaxed. Even your face. Breathe. Inhale and exhale. Good. And then go the other direction. Good. And then let's roll the shoulders. So just start opening the shoulders now. Notice I can create a wave-like motion through my spine, which activates the energy through my lumbar region even more. So the lumbar is the first area to get activated as you're growing. So going from infancy to crawling, you activate that lower lumbar as well as the neck so that you can lift your head, so you can move more freely, so you can see the world. So these areas it's really important to have open. And then go forward, reverse directions. Arms are soft. I'm just allowing my fingertips to brush the sides of my body. And throughout these movements, my knees are also soft. So keep your knees relaxed. Never hyperextending. Relax your jaw. Good. And then relax. Good. And then let's start to brush the sides of the body. So just opening up through the liver and the spleen into the gallbladder meridian. So the meridian that runs along the sides of the body primarily is the gallbladder, which also has a lot to do with detoxification. Also important to have the flank region, the rib cage, all of this area open to be able to breathe deeply, because breathing deeply is really kind of the fundamental thing that needs to be happening in your body for anything to function properly, because the lungs carry chi. They move chi or energy through your body, and that all happens and is orchestrated through the breath. Good. Breathe. And slow that down, and then let's just start to open up the lower back, the hips, this whole area. where your digestive and reproductive organs are stored. Making sure there's relaxation, there's openness in that area will help to stimulate chi flow into the internal organs as well. Breathe. And then you can take bigger circles. So when you make big circles with your hips, just make sure that you're being really delicate with your lower back. Now you can do this just upright, or you can go deeper and open up the hamstrings too. I like to get deep and as large as I can with the circles. Breathing. And then reverse. So now small circles going the other direction. Relax your jaw. And then bigger circles. And when you're doing this at home, you can keep better count. If you want about 9 or 10 rotations for every exercise. If you have less time, just cut that in half. Do what you can. Just make sure you're always breathing, always listening to your body, even more than you listen to my verbal cues. I want you to learn to really feel into your experience when you practice. And that really comes by paying attention to the breath. One more. Good. And then let's open the knees. So I'm going to actually ask that you step your feet together now and the knees touch. And you're going to bend your knees and cup your hands over the knees. And you're just going to turn. So as I rotate the knees, I'm actually going a little bit deeper into that bend. And if you were to be able to see my ankles, you would see that they're kind of lifting and dropping. Let me see if I can show you. The ankles are just kind of rolling around. I'm not trying to keep my feet really stable on the ground. Breathe. And then reverse. Keep the abdomen pulled in. Shoulders relaxed. Gaze is just forward. And then you can just straighten the legs, straighten your back. Take a breath there. And then bend your knees, roll up. And then just massage. So just starting to kind of activate the core of your body. Now, if you've already eaten today, you want to be gentle with this. If you have not, you can start to massage a little bit deeper. Starting to really activate and open your Uddiyana Bandha, the abdominal lock. And when you bring energy, even a little bit of warmth to this area, you start to bring awareness to this region, to the center of your body, to the area that digestion deepens. So of course the teeth start the digestive process, but then as it moves deeper into the body, there are many organs involved. We go clockwise if we're trying to clear, counterclockwise. Let's say if you have diarrhea, you would go counterclockwise with the movement. Counterclockwise and clockwise on your own body. Good. Then you're going to stand with your feet wide. And horse stance helps to really strengthen your earth energy. So you're going to stand wide. Your feet are turned out about 45 degrees, and you're going to come down and then lift up. So now I want you to remember those 2 points, the big toe and then right underneath the ball of the foot, but also press weight to the outer edges of your feet now. As you exhale, you go down. As you inhale, you press into those points and lift up. Exhale down. If it's easier, you can keep your hands on your hips. Inhale up. Exhale down. If you have a mirror, you want to kind of get down as deep as you can. So your legs eventually, your thighs are parallel to the ground. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do a few more. Inhale. Exhale. Now we've massaged the abdomen. Keep your attention there as you do the movement. Keep the lower abdominal region contained, and make sure not to arch your back when you're coming down. Try to keep your back as flat as you can. Let's do one more and just hold. Breathe. Pull the abdominal muscles in. Push your knees out, press into those 2 points. Press into the big toe, press into kidney 1, right at the ball of the foot. Keep your back flat. Deeper, deeper. Good. 2 more breaths. Long breaths. And with your next inhale, very, very slowly come up. And then exhale. And then heel and toe your feet, shake it out. Shake that all out. Now that can be kind of intense. Be really gentle with yourself, especially if you have any knee injuries, lower back issues. You're always breathing. That's your cue to tell you how deep to go. Okay, let's stand with that wide stance again. And this time I'd like you to turn your toes. So either side, the toes go out. That same side, the knee bends. And you want to spread your legs apart wide enough so that when you bend this front knee, the thigh eventually is going to be parallel to the floor. Relax your shoulders and really activate your thigh. So this area is an important region through which the stomach meridian runs. So the stomach is in charge of ripening and rotting your food. So it helps to kind of descend energy or waste product down into the large intestine and the colon so that you can excrete waste more effectively. So as you slowly float your arms up, coming into Warrior 2, really pay attention to the activation of your thighs and breathe. You can keep your gaze forward or look over the hand, kind of aligning it with that bent knee. Pull the abdomen in, sink a little deeper. Pull back slightly so you're not leaning forward. Let's take 3 breaths. Toes soft, but you're still pressing into the big toe firmly. And then inhale and come up. Exhale, release your arms. Pause. Take a breath. Notice as you bring your energy further and further down into the body, the mind gets quieter. So that's kind of the goal here. You're going to turn to the other side. I'm not really telling you right and left because you can determine that for yourself as long as you do both sides. The front knee has the toe turned out all the way. The back leg is turned in about 45 degrees. Make sure that you're really leveraging yourself by pushing weight to the outer edges of your feet, but also putting weight into the big toes and the balls of your feet. You're going to take a nice deep breath in. You can keep your hands on your hips if you want, and exhale down. As deeply as you can without jutting forward, right? We're trying to stay right in the center. Relax your shoulders, and if it feels comfortable, float your arms up. Adjust yourself so that you're right in the center. Feel the activation in your thighs. If and when you're ready, turn your gaze, look over the front hand. Still keep energy pulling back. Keep the thighs active. Keep that big toe pressing but not clenching the floor. Just activate the energy there. Ground yourself. Feel the earth underneath your feet. Now deeper. 3 more breaths. Pay attention to your lower abdominal region. One more breath. Sink. Release. Inhale. Turn the toes in. Heel and toe. Shake. Now let's really just shake all that out. Even shake out your face, your head. Shake like no one's watching. And then let's ground all of that. Inhale and lift. Exhale, wash it down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, wash it down. Inhale, lift. Exhale down. Now one more exercise just to kind of open the lungs a little more. You remember that separating the hands, so when they're going in opposite directions, this is separating the pure and the turbid. This exercise, you're going to bring your hands together and separate and rotate them back. So together, rotate. So notice one arm goes forward, one arm is rotating back. So you can practice one at a time first, kind of get used to that. And the coordination of that, so anytime you're doing a coordinated movement in your practice too, this also tests your mental focus. It trains your mind to be more still. So out with both arms. One arm goes up, one arm comes down, so I'll kind of reverse it. Go really slow at first. And then I'm going to start to wave my hips, keeping my lower abdominal region also engaged. Breathe. And then I can go more quickly over time. Kind of slapping the hands as they come together. You can practice this one. Good, let's reverse it. So whatever arm was going back is now going to go forward. And you're going to just start really slowly. Just practice the movement. Nice and easy, and then pick up the pace as you get more comfortable. And wave the rib cage. Keep the hips stable though. Breathe. Good. One more time. And then shake it out. Forward. And shake it all out. Jump. Feel your feet as they land on the earth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through your mouth. One more time. And all that movement can create a little bit of wind, a little dizziness. So again, we inhale. Exhale. When you inhale, visualize energy moving up your spine. When you exhale, down the front of your body. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Now place your hands one on top of the other over the lower abdomen. You can close your eyes, drawing the energy that you've cultivated in this practice into the sea of chi, the sea of energy, the lower abdomen, the lower back. And if you pay attention to this area throughout the day, you'll notice that your mind stays more still, you're more present, and that you actually start to contain more energy as the day goes on, so you don't feel so exhausted. It's about bringing the awareness out of the mind and into your body, anchoring yourself down. Take one more breath. And then bring your hands to the heart. Thank you for practicing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your presence with me. And I want to know for you, which of these exercises was most challenging, and what will you do throughout the day to help yourself stay a little more present, to shut off that worried, pensive mind, to help you get more clear, relaxed, and be able to just flow with the process. I'll see you soon.